A tried and true Pod on Lansdowne tradition continues this year into 2025. It is the start of our preview series looking at all of the foes of the American League East that the Boston Red Sox will be battling for the division crown. We start north of the border this time around, where we are very glad to welcome back on Spencer onto the program. At Spen, do we figure out how many underscores are at the end of your handle?
I think at the last time we did this pod, I said I have to change that. I think it's 6, but I should probably change it.
Good rule of thumb, you could probably think of that like, okay, it's 6. The Toronto is the 6. You're a Blue Jays fan.
Yeah, there we go.
The big
is that the actual reasoning, or is that just a coincidence?
I think it was just a coincidence completely.
Well, that coincidence is brought courtesy of Spencer. Again, thank you very much, Spence, for coming back onto the show. Our Blue Jays correspondent here to talk about Toronto and their 2025 season. Before we get into that, I just wanted to ask you, Spencer, as our Canadian pal, how has it been preparing to become the 51st state of the Union? I'm sure you guys are jumping for joy.
We're pumped. Everyone's searching and trying to find made in Canada products, and they're finding it really difficult. We don't make a lot of stuff. So, we're pumped. We're pumped to join you guys. The hockey game was a great divider that brought us together last week.
Our last bit of separation before we unite as one.
Yes, exactly. And it's a great night to talk to you guys, because we got the Celtics and Raptors playing right now. We got the Leafs and Bruins playing at the same time.
This is actually crazy.
It's actually crazy. I didn't realize that until this afternoon.
I didn't realize that until just now. I didn't look at those schedules.
The Boston, Canada Sports Equinox.
Yeah.
Spence, I have a question for you as our Canadian correspondent.
Yeah.
Are you still claiming one Aubrey Graham?
Personally, no.
A lot has happened since the last time we had you on.
A lot has happened. No, I haven't claimed him for a very long time.
Okay.
I'm just one of those people that I was a fan of him in 2016. Pretty sure I went and saw him live in 2016. But it's been a while 16, wow. since.
A lot has happened.
Great year.
It was him in Future in Detroit. They brought out Eminem. It was a 10 out of 10 concert in 2016, but I've moved on. I think when I was a younger man, I played Pusha T driving by his house once, but I don't step into that realm anymore.
You are hiding a child.
Yeah.
Let that boy come home.
Something that the American mind struggles to comprehend is that Detroit and Toronto are really close.
Yeah, it's a 4-hour drive. It's great.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I visit my sister. She can see the GM building from her bathroom window, so I just go visit her.
They're building a new bridge there.
They are building a new bridge, yeah.
Gordie Howe Bridge.
Yeah, I'm running across the Peace Bridge in a half marathon this summer. I'm pumped for it. It's the Detroit Windsor International half marathon.
Where do they check your passport and stuff?
I think they check it beforehand, because part of it you're running through the tunnel in between the two countries, which is probably not going to be the most fun. But then the finish line's on the bridge, which is kind of cool. It's very pretty. So I'm looking forward to that. That's in October. So
do you
just imagine you try to beat your PR you're at this great mile pace, you know what I mean? I'm averaging a 5:30 mile right now. This is excellent, but then fucking Border Patrol stops you and say, "Yo, papers, please." All right. It's damn.
Yeah, I'm pumped to get it going. It's gonna be fun. It was one of my goals at the start of the season, and we're gonna end the year off strong, running across the bridge.
So speaking of the start of the season, we are almost at the start of baseball season, which means we're almost at the start of the Toronto Blue Jays season. And not to shit on you, we're very appreciative that you took time out of your night to come and talk with us, rival Red Sox fans. So I don't want to shit on the Blue Jays too much, but based on some of your posts, based on some of the temperature that I could read from the Blue Jays camp, the developments, especially with one superstar player over recent days, is the vibes don't seem to be amazing right now north of the border. Spencer, why don't you kind of give us a little state of the union for the Blue Jays at this moment in time as we sit here on February 25th?
Yeah, I think that do you want me to give a summary of the offseason as a whole, or just the last week? Okay, so
no, that'd be great.
I think that this offseason, a lot of people pissed off, rightfully so. We were last place. We're with 7th in the payroll last year. Not an ideal spot. Minor leagues not looking like the Red Sox minor league system. So there was obviously going to be a lot of bidding going on for free agents, and you have massive contracts like Bo and Vlad coming up. So it was time to kind of how much longer do we have of this? So, we were in we almost did the Ohtani thing 3 different times this offseason. We did it with Soto. We did it with Sasaki. I can't even tell you the others we did. It seemed like every free agent became, the Blue Jays are second, which I kind of got pissed off at after a while, because it's they credit the Dodgers all the time for spending money, and then they're like, oh, these other teams, they just don't spend money, but the Blue Jays are always second place. Can't have it both ways. We were getting second place, but we're trying to spend money. And I think
Sounds
the Blue
familiar.
Jays
Yeah, right.
I think the Blue Jays have ended the offseason as the second highest spenders in free agency. We had a pretty decent offseason, but a lot of this was okay, when are Bo and Vlad, when is that going to happen? Vlad, of course, more than Bo. Bo's a little bit of a question mark. And it seemed like the Blue Jays are getting close. Vlad set this deadline date. We got all these fake reporters just kind of hopping on the emotions of the Jays fans. A lot of people who have since deleted their Twitter accounts after being wrong. And then just the Vlad news over the past 2 weeks, has been a nightmare. It's just he's asking, what's he asking for? The team's not close. It's been bleak. And I'm supposed to get pumped for spring training games. So I'm in a tough place. I'm in a tough place right now, guys.
Do you have any are you holding any sort of, optimism that, okay, even if Vlad isn't going to come to the negotiating table during the season, do you think, okay, November, Rogers, the company that owns the fucking Blue Jays from the last time that we talked, right? Do you think they'll actually sit down, pony up, grow up, and say, okay, this is our homegrown guy. This is the cornerstone of our franchise. We've got to extend him. Are you holding out any hope for that? Or are you already starting to kind of begin to process what life might be like without Vlad Guerrero in your lineup? Is it a bit of column A, bit of column B? What's going through your mind right now?
I've flipped, I think that the day the Vlad news broke, I kind of flip-flopped sides as the information started to come out a little bit. It was a little discouraging for Vlad to come out and say, I want to be with the team forever. He said that on multiple occasions, saying, we're not close. And you automatically think, hey, this guy wants to be here. He keeps saying he wants to be here, but they're not close. And then the numbers that came out are he's asking for $600 million. He's just not worth $600 million. So, and I also think that he had a really hot second half last year. He had 5 home runs on June 2nd. It's not like he had this amazing season. He had a really, really good second half. And his career has been very up and down. So if he was to repeat that this season, it would honestly be the second season in a row that he's actually repeated very, very good performances. It's been that up and down. So I think that regardless of the season he has, unless he goes nuclear and hits, 50 home runs and he's the MVP, or he repeats a 2021 season, I think there's going to be a wake-up call for him. And it's $600 million to a first baseman is just not realistic. Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani, those guys are probably not 1 tier above Vlad. They're probably 2 tiers above Vlad in the player rankings. So I hope that there's a little bit of a wake-up call and a little bit of an adjustment by the expectations of the fans on what Vlad is worth. And I think I'm hopeful because they've spent all this money on guys like Santander with the thoughts that, Vlad will come back. if you take Vlad out of the lineup, it's a very expensive, shitty team. I don't know if can I swear? Sorry.
Oh God! Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah, baby!
So that's a bad spot to be in. So that's where I'm kind of at with the Vlad thing. Like I hate him until game one, and I have to cheer for him again until further notice.
Oh, I thought one of the pod boys were gonna add something on.
Oh no!
Sorry, I wanted to give them a little dead air, fellas. That's
usually you follow. You're the follow guy, Fitz.
Sorry. I'd be happy to follow.
I have a follow-up.
I have a follow-up. Okay, follow up, Jake. Follow away.
I have a follow-up. So, I've sort of become fascinated by the Blue Jays and the contracts they have on the books and like where they're at organizationally, because it's like 2 steps away from like a nuclear disaster. Like if Vlad does walk, I have no fucking idea what you guys do. Like you have a lot of money committed to like.
It's going to start with
not good
with the bag
players.
For Bo
really.
Bichette. That's where that's going to start. I would have to think.
Yeah,
it's weird because it's like if you don't get Vlad and Bo's been like he's a very, very big question mark. He had a really rough season last year, you know, even when he wasn't injured, and it's been an up and down time for him in the majors as well. So it's like, do you spend even more money to be really mediocre when you guys have guys like Springer, who's one haircut away from being fully bald and hitting 190? It's like, you know, then
what's
you have
left on that deal?
old...
Do you know how many years?
I just looked it up. It's 2 years. So after 26,
including 25 and
after 26,
25 and 26. Yeah,
yeah,
at like 24 per.
Yeah, I think that every team in the AL East kind of has a player like that on the books. Like there's Trevor Story, DJ LeMahieu, George Springer. They kind of all fall under. We all got one shitty bald guy, and that's ours. So
every hotel room got the cuck chair, and every AL East team has the shitty bald guy right now.
Exactly.
Going back to hair quickly before we kind of take a look at this team as a whole, as it looks for 2025 in that context. How disappointed are you that Bo cut the hair? Because I saw that the other day and I threw up in my mouth. That just did not look right to me.
It's a weird look. It threw me off, and like he's not on social media. He's very quiet about his business, and he just showed up to like this UFC fight with like a sports clips cut, and the internet just went crazy. And he just looks odd because you're just like, it's like when you like have a friend who has a beard all the time, and then all of a sudden they shave their face and they look like the bad guy from Monsters Inc. And it's like a weird look. Like you don't.
His name is Randall.
Randall, yeah. When they look like when your friend shaves his beard and they look.
Do you
like
know his
Randall,
last name?
It's like,
do you know his last name, Fitz?
I don't.
I probably do off the top of my head.
Boggs.
I don't off the top.
Boggs. Randall Boggs.
Oh,
Do you know who voices him? Do you know who voices him?
Well, that's Buscemi. I know that.
Yes,
Steve
thank you,
Buscemi.
Fitz.
Yeah.
Yes, good job.
Yeah.
Good job, fellas.
Yeah, that's what it's kind of like. So it did throw me off, but I mean, all the videos of Bo in spring training look like he's ready to go. He took I forget. He hit a home run off someone in BP the other day. It got me really pumped up.
Hey, is Stalker still around?
She deleted.
She wiped
media.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was such a saga.
They handled her.
Season. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a good 48 hours of Blue Jays Twitter. That was
fun. I mean, that leaked into
She had been caught and compromised to a permanent end.
Yeah. And it was funny because, like, you know, people were, I mean, maybe this isn't funny, but people were pulling up her Facebook, and then people were seeing her afterwards. I saw her at Rogers Center.
In the flesh.
What was the tweet? Like his like cute ass or so, or it was like it was looking at her or something. There was one that was like
she was. It was like a very long. It was like, you know, if I catch him looking at me again, pulling his pecker at the game, like it was wild. It was wild. It was wild, and it was like a good, like, I saw someone the other day like copy and paste and tweet it out, and like people just get it. It's like a where were you
baby
moment
reindeer,
when you saw it.
baby blue jay, baby blue jay,
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think her name was like Bichette Baby too. So
Oh wait, wasn't it like Bo Bichette's wife?
something like that. Something like that. Yeah. She rocked. I hope she's doing well.
I wonder
she's
now if
pumped for the
every
season.
AL East team has a weird sexually charged moment from the 2020s because the Red Sox had the BDSM tweet that was up for 30 seconds. That's what caught fire
yeah, I
on our
remember
end
that.
of things.
I remember
There
that.
was
That a
a
good one.
there was a famous Brett Gardner famously had a stalker during his time with the Yankees, and she would like travel to the
He had a
different
forehead
ballparks,
fetish.
following him around. Yeah, it was crazy, man. I think he like actually got like a restraining order. There was like legal.
I have
action
the
taken.
really good Bo tweet here. I just want to read it off.
Yeah, read it
no,
for
just,
us. It's
just,
a
just a listener.
classic.
So yeah, her display name was Bo Bichette's wife. Here's the tweet. 3 different times I got him looking at me. Twice he was pulling at his pecker. So you know what, Bo, you're done. Tomorrow I'm wearing my skimpiest outfit and I'm a tease the fuck out of you and see how you like it.
Jesus.
Sweating emoji.
my Lord.
But in other words, I can't wait to see you tomorrow, Bo Bear. Kitty emoji, bear emoji.
That's.
Yikes! It's
Normal
rough when you
behavior,
hear a
fine.
man
I mean,
say-
I guess it's a
man
good
say
thing
it
he's
to
not
you.
on social media.
Yeah, it's probably good. It's probably good. It's hard when someone reads that to you. It's even cringier. It's tough to listen to.
Yeah, right? Our audience is loving this. They gotta be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They gotta be. Yeah.
Hard to transition into lineup construction after talking about fetishizing baseball players, but we're going to try. Outside of Vlad, who,
Yeah.
as we know, has the potential to put up all-star MVP caliber numbers. We saw it in 21 and 24 just this past year. Bichette also can hit 300 plus. We've seen that. Anthony Santander deepens the lineup a bit. Power potential. How many home runs did he have? Like high 30s last year? Maybe low 40s, I
Was
believe.
was he into the 40s last year?
I think he may have been into the 40s last year.
Point is, he's got some
exciting to
pop.
have. Yeah.
He's got some
Yeah,
pop.
for sure.
Outside of that, if we're keeping it a buck, though, there are some questions I have with the rest of this lineup. I wonder if you're on the same page with me there, Spencer, because you mentioned George Springer has historically been a solid guy at the top of the lineup, but last couple of years, leaving a bit to be desired. You bring in Andres Jimenez, who is a wizard defensively. No one's questioned his ability with the leather, but with the bat, can he get back to those, I believe, 2022 levels where he was actually putting together a good offensive year? Do you see anyone emerging as someone else who can help those sort of, those big 3 hitters in the middle of their lineup to try to deepen this Toronto order heading into the new year?
I think that was what was missing all offseason. Like, I think that's why the Blue Jays were really high on guys like going after Alonso. Like, they were really one bat away from having a very good batting order. The one guy who I think is due for a big bounce back is Alejandro Kirk, because he is kind of the guy out of spring training the first time where it's like, hey, you're the number 1 catcher. You're going to play a shitload of games this year. Because we don't have Danny Jansen anymore. He's Tampa Bay Rays.
Spencer, did you know that he
Spring
was the
legend.
first player in MLB history to play for the same team in 2 different games?
I didn't know that. I just you're telling me now for the first time.
No, I said the inverse of what it was. He played for 2 different teams in the same game. Excuse me.
Yeah, I really didn't enjoy that game as well for some reason. I was like, the only people who were excited for that game were like the people who actually keep the scorecards. I've never kept a scorecard in my life, so I don't care.
I'll admit I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like one of
thought it
those
was
just when
cool,
you've
but,
seen
like,
it all.
It turned
sort
into
of
a
things.
whole like national media narrative, and it was like,
Yeah,
cool, man. I guess like it's neat, but
yeah.
Jay Leno would have done a bit on it.
Surely there's other major storylines.
So yeah, Kirk, feeling good about him. Feeling like this is a bounce back season for him. He won a Silver Slugger before. He had a really rough year last year. We understand like what Kirk is. Like, he is minus 10 percentile in base running, but if he's hitting line drives, like he's going to hit some good hits, and we're all about that. He's very good defensively. So I think that he's kind of primed for a big comeback, and all of the indications out of spring training, like he's hitting the ball, like he's hitting the piss out of the ball in the first few games. So I think that he could help out, and I hope that one of the young guys emerges, like maybe Will Wagner. If he
I was
gets
just
more
about to bring
time,
him up.
Yeah, I think that he could be like he was when the Blue Jays were bad last year and they were like bad fun. Like I was enjoying, like the Raptors right now, they're losing a lot of games, but I'm having fun watching them lose a lot of games. Will Wagner was one of those guys where it's like, I'm having fun watching this guy every day.
There is something to be said about a team that is bad, but you're still having fun. Like shout out to Weird Celtics Twitter, the two danked tank Celtics. Like that's the same idea what you were just talking about with the Raptors. Yeah.
Yeah. If the direction is like we're gonna be bad, like just find the fun in being bad. Like that's what I was doing at the end of last year. So like, that's what I'm kind of hoping for this year is like maybe if Will Wagner gets more time, he can emerge as a guy. Maybe if Davis Schneider, after a kind of really up and down year last year, I believe he's a guy who can figure it out. And then, I feel like that's kind of the guys, because it's really like at this point, there's no help externally coming. We got to kind of make do with what you got, and fingers crossed that Bo and Vlad, it clicks this year and it just all works out.
Will Wagner, by the way, continues the. Were you saying, Liam?
No. Go ahead. Yours is more on topic with Will Wagner.
Will Wagner, it continues the tried and true Blue Jays tradition of Nepo babies within the organization. Yeah. Will Wagner, the son of Billy Wagner, soon to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. But I did want to bring up Will Wagner as a potential guy to be in the lineup. Roster Resource from Fangraphs has him at a 116 WRC plus, which is nothing to sneeze at, around a 750 OPS. Low strikeout rate, walking about 10% of the time on the projections. Him as the designated hitter, again, younger guy, maybe he can emerge to something bigger there. But I think if the Blue Jays want to go anywhere this year, they're going to, like you had just suggested, guys like Kirk need to step up and help out, again, the cavalry from Vlad and from Bo.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's kind of been the case in years past, as it's been, like 2 years when we did make the playoffs and Bo and Vlad weren't clicking, and the rest of it was guys like Davis Schneider who kind of stepped up and saved the season.
You kind of need nightmares, by the way.
Yeah.
His first series ever as a major leaguer, he was a terror.
Yeah. He's a Blue Jays legend for that. And we love him. That kind of beating the Red Sox that year was the whole reason we made the playoffs. I think it's gonna have to be one of these weird guys, and maybe Jimenez figures it out at the plate. Like there's a reason he gets paid a shitload of money. Same thing with Miles Straw. Like we paid Miles Straw $13 million. Like that's a lot of money. Let's figure it out. Who's gonna be the weird guy this year?
Jake, you're muted.
Yeah, Jake is big muted.
Sorry. Fuck me. You're paying Miles Straw $13 million.
That's genuinely shocking.
That's good money.
Did they eat that? Yeah. Like, how'd they end up with that?
So that
did he come with Jimenez?
He did not. There was a separate trade. It was a trade. This is when we were like locked into the cuck chair on the Sasaki thing. We basically traded
the international money.
We took on Miles Straw contract to get more international money to then not use it on Sasaki.
That is you really were strapped into the cuck chair.
That's brutal.
Like Bill Gates on the Liam, you know,
on the operating table.
Get in the backs.
Yeah.
Spencer, I had a kind of different sort of question for you. Questions. In our little group chat, the three of us we have, the other night we were remarking upon, like, do you feel big picture like the Blue Jays window has passed them?
Is this year like the death rattle? Like
this year, yeah.
I don't mean to like bum you out, being like sincere.
No. It's it's been a weird window, to say the least. Like it's you have to think that if Bo and Vlad don't come back, that they're kind of tearing the thing down to the studs. But then you look back at the window that was, it's like, well, you're walking away with a couple playoff appearances and no playoff wins since 2016. Like, it's not a great time period.
Exactly.
So you kind of, the whole idea of this time period of Blue Jays history is like, we went into this rebuild with the idea of Bo and Vlad are going to come up and we're going to build a team around them. And it's never clicked. And it's like the strangest thing in the world. And it's never resulted in a playoff win. And at the same time, like, they're doing this because, you know, they're pouring a bunch of money into stadium renovations every year. Like, they're trying to get people in because we basically have a new stadium other than the outside.
I remember
cup holder. Yeah, that was massive. And, you know, there's more.
Can people still fuck up in the hotel?
Oh yeah. Like,
I mean, people could fuck anywhere they wanted to, Jake, if they really had.
I actually, Spencer, I think just before the show, tweeted a picture of people fucking at a sports stadium.
Yeah, that was at the Rogers Center. That was on the 500 level. That was.
It wasn't Bo Bichette, was it? With someone?
No, two people paid tickets to do that. That was a couple of years ago. But like they're trying to, you know, renovate the stadium and move the team into a new place where. But it's just never clicked. It's a very, very odd time period in Blue Jays history.
I was looking at your win totals and stuff, and I mean, as an outsider, I think like that 22 team was probably the one. Like if because I mean 21 had Semyon, who was obviously like ludicrous for that one year, but 22 was you know, you had Barrios, I think, that came that year. The rotation was like
Barrios came. No, Barrios came in 21. We traded for him in 21.
Oh shit! Oh, at the deadline.
That's put a pin in him. I want to talk about him in a few minutes. But I got some things to say about Barrios.
Yeah, I mean the 21 team not even making the playoff. That's our fault, actually. The 21 team.
It was. It came down to the last.
It was that Washington series we had. I mean, that's to me, those two teams were like quite well rounded. They had it going on. I mean,
I feel like 22 for sure was the year where it really should have all come together. Like 21, I think there's some revisionist history where it's like people are so fond of that team because they did win. I think they won 92 games and missed the playoffs in the next year.
Because we won
wild card spot.
It was 91,
91, yeah. 91. And then the next year, they actually added the third wild card spot. So if that season, you know, they would have made the playoffs the next year. But you know, they started the season. It was kind of a half COVID year, so they started the season not in Canada. So a lot of it was played. Right. Yeah, a lot of it was played in a minor league ballpark, and then from basically the beginning of the season through the trade deadline, the bullpen was one of the worst bullpens in the MLB. Like, they could not hold a lead, and once they came back to Canada, they just went on this crazy run, and that's what kind of fueled this team to kind of really get into the picture. 22 from the get-go was, you know, that was the Alek Manoah, like, is this guy a Cy Young year? You know, you had Kevin Gausman.
Gosman was a monster.
Yeah, and the bullpen was really good that year, and that was the year that we blew the 8-1 lead in the postseason to get knocked out. So that was really the year to make it happen. But yeah, it's just like, you know, you look at the results at the end of the day, and it's like, you know, it was another year where they didn't win a playoff game. So it was just very, very odd time.
Strange days indead. Strange
days, sucks, man. I don't have anything constructive about that. Sucks.
No.
I totally forgot that they started 21, and what was there? They weren't in Buffalo. It was like Dunedin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah. They started in Dunedin, and then they moved to Buffalo because it was a weird one for sure. And it was fun, like when we could go back and see games, but like the stadium was half full because of COVID restrictions. Like, yeah, it was an odd time. It was weird, but
the one ball I've ever gotten from a baseball game that was like a ball that live and in play ball was from that the 21 season. Vlad Jr. threw it to me. I was sitting right next to Jay's dugout.
Holy,
at Fenway, and it was Fenway was like 25 capacity, and we were down low, so I had the whole area around. There was nobody else to throw it to.
Little Jake, Mr. Junior,
little 22-year-old Jake. That was a really special moment.
Okay, then sign with the Red Sox 6 years from now, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or 5, however many years, right? So that's as good of a transition as any.
If Vlad is not
about a couple.
He's skipping.
Nope.
He's skipping.
Yeah, is Jake skipping or am I skipping? I think Jake's skipping.
No, it's Jake.
Yeah, DJ Jake is back. Yeah, he's all over the place. Now he's flustered. He's throwing us up. Anyways, back to brass tacks here. A transition into the pitching staff here.
Yeah.
Because we named a couple of guys like Kevin Gausman, who's still going to be at the top of the rotation, it seems, which, by the way, Kevin Gausman, I think, he had a solid enough of a year. It was like a high 3s ERA. He's as good of a bet as any to bounce back, especially if he starts missing some more bats. He's still one of my favorite pitchers to watch in baseball. I think he's criminally underrated. He's a great pitcher. I am curious, Spencer, now, because we have a bit of a track record on this. Does Jose Barrios make you at all infuriated when you watch him? Because you look at what his actual output is, and then you look at the stuff under the numbers, and it's wildly confusing to me.
Under the hood is crazy.
It's a disaster. I'll give you the numbers in a second, but I want to hear from you, Spencer, to see how the Jose Barrios experience has been for you, because he's still going to be a big part of this rotation.
Yeah, I mean, he is going to be a massive part of this rotation, and he's just a guy. Like, I understand like the numbers that you're talking about, like when the ball is hit off his pitches, they are fucking launched. But the thing that I like about Barrios is he is going to make 32 starts. Whether it's going great or it's going horrendous, he's going to make 32 starts, and that guy, he eats a lot of innings. I thought last year was probably his best year as a Blue Jay. So I'm very consistent, I'm a fan of Jose Barrios because of the reliability factor. Like, I think that's just like really difficult to find in starting pitching.
There's something to be said about that. I agree.
Yeah. So I just think like I love him because over the course of a season, you're like, holy shit, this guy's been here like the whole time. You know, he'll have a weird start where he'll go like 3 innings and get lit up. But he'll have some 8 inning, like last year's April, he was pitcher of the month. He was like just striking out guys. Yeah, like he's weird. But over the course of the season, you're like, holy shit, I actually really appreciate this guy a lot. So I'm a fan. I'm sorry, like looking for
that's actually I'm looking at his BREF right now. Has he ever missed a start for you guys?
I think he's historically one of the healthiest pitchers like
this is
in
nuts.
Baseball. Yeah, he does not.
Maybe like one scratch or something like that.
He's gone 32, 32, and then when they traded for him, he still made 12 starts in 21.
Yeah,
that's
like
insane.
Like you'll get frustrated in the odd start.
He'll tear his UCL tomorrow. Now that we've had this
conversation, just for the folks at home, just for reference here, Barrios posted a 3.60 ERA last year. Damn good. The expected ERA was 4.74, and this is not necessarily anything new for him, but there are some guys, to their credit, that for whatever reason, even if they're not missing a ton of bats consistently, even if they're like Spencer mentioned, giving up some loud contact, there are some guys that could just outperform those peripherals on a relatively consistent basis, and that's probably why Barrios ends up with a high 4s expected ERAs, and then he'll end up being okay with like a 3.80 ERA actually posted in 2025. It's just a very fascinating pitcher to me.
Yeah, he is, and it's like, but in the scheme of the rotation, like he is the dream third starter on your roster.
Sure.
And that's kind of how I view him. So
with the volume,
he will have that. Yeah, he will have that bad game against Kansas City on Thursday, but then he'll be there the next start, and you don't know what you're going to get. But he is consistent and inconsistent at the same time. So I'm a fan. The pitching staff is interesting for sure this year.
And one of the most interesting parts of that, well, 2 parts. A, it's the addition of Max Scherzer, who he is leading the unction, as I wrote in on Over the Monster. Him and Bassett are attending the unction together. There's some two old guys in that rotation, but Scherzer, when he's healthy, which is a big if at this point, he still generates his fair share of
is he as old as Max?
Bassett's probably like 37 or something like that.
Bassett,
oh my God,
Bassett's
what?
Going to be 36 this year. Yeah.
36.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh goodness. All right.
Well, yeah, he's been around
another
a minute.
guy. Yeah, he's been around for sure.
Right. But Scherzer's still going to generate enough swing and misses on his day if he's healthy. And the real wild card is Bowden Francis, who I feel like there were like 4 instances last year where I get a notification from him. Maybe this was just one time.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely one time. But it felt like it was 5, where I'd get the notification from MLB. It's like, 7th inning, Bowden Francis working on a no-hitter. Like I felt like that happened multiple times last year. Still relatively young. Interesting, to steal the word that you used, interesting part of this rotation that could end up being an X factor.
Yeah, I think with Bowden, like you said, like it did happen back-to-back times last year where he did get into the post 8th inning throwing a no-hitter. I think it may have been back-to-back starts, or it was 2 times in 3 starts. Like it was
I remember one of them was against the Mets, right? And like Lindor.
Yeah, Lindor hit a home run. And then the Mets ended up winning in extra innings. Like it was a beautiful Blue Jays game for last season. We love that result. You know, it's
big,
the games
Blue Jays game.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It's the Raptors games I cheer for. Scotty Barnes plays good. They lose by 4. Everything's good. We move on to the next night. But Bowden is an interesting guy, and he was a guy last year who we all saw as like, oh, this is the guy who, you know, maybe he's that long guy out of the bullpen, and he struggled out of the bullpen, and we just think he's the starter just because he's got all these quirks to his game. Like he's meditating for hours before his start. Like he is such a regimented guy. I feel like this year is going to be a Bowden year. Like he is, he's going to be a guy who really jumps out. Scherzer, I mean, like, you know, there's a very high possibility that there's some like Shaq Celtic jersey memes with him at the end of the year.
The pitch to Viva La Vida montage, he gets added to that.
Yeah. But if Scherzer makes 17 starts, and I mean, like today in spring training, I saw the words World Series ready thrown around. Like he looked like an animal out there. So I don't know what to expect from Scherzer. I don't even think we're paying him the most money this year. I think the Nationals are still his number 1 employer this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But, you know, and then we have guys like Y-Rod, like Yariel Rodriguez. Like, what is he going to be this year? He's going to have to step up if Scherzer needs nights off, and Alek Manoah is coming back maybe this year. So, yeah, the rotation is interesting, but I think it's like there's a lot of directions it can go. I think that your core 4, though, of guys is a pretty good rotation to kind of handle just about anything.
And then the bullpen gets the addition of Jeff Hoffman as well, who has been nasty the last couple of years. I did really like that move for Toronto, and I wanted him in Boston. I don't even think we really talked about him too much on the podcast, but you look at some of his numbers over the last few years, he could emerge as a legit stud. Especially now if he's going to be getting the lion's share of, you know, the high leverage innings, the closing opportunities. Really good pitcher. Garcia is also was pretty solid out of the bullpen last year as well. Any other reservations outside of those 2 guys in Toronto's pen going into 2025?
Spencer, did Hoffman's medical saga scare you off a bit?
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to ignore it because I was just excited. I was
like, all right, we got somebody.
We got someone, and then it's like, yeah, he may have failed his physical. It's like that happens, right? Like, we'll see. I mean, I'm pumped to have Yimi back. I really like Yimi. And then it's gonna, like, hopefully Eric Swanson bounces back this year. And then Y-Rod's an interesting one because when we signed Y-Rod, he was a closer. So it's like, does he take over that role? Because last year we were using him as a starter. Does he take over some of those high leverage innings? Like, I think the bullpen, it was by far the worst aspect of the team last year. Like Romano went down, Swanson just like, he went through some personal things in spring training and never really found his groove. And that's a guy who was like lights out the year before. We traded him for Teoscar. Like, I feel like this year the bullpen I'm less worried about it. Even if Hoffman, is not
Barbecue
playing
chicken.
right away. Yeah. I still think it's actually a pretty good bullpen. Like there's some guys in there I'm excited for.
Interesting. Now, Spencer, I'd like to end these conversations with kind of, all right, how does the Blue Jays season in 2025, how does it go right? What's the story of where things go right? How does it go wrong? What is the worst case kind of scenario here? And then with all that in mind, those two parameters in mind, what is your honest opinion of how the season's going to go for your team? Where you think it's going to end up? So it's kind of a three-part question. The high of what the season could be, the low, and ultimately where you stand at this point.
The high is the pitching staff the starting pitching staff can kind of repeat the trajectory that they've been on. And Bo and Vlad kind of click for the first time since 2021. And I think that if those guys are going for the first time since 2021, the rest of the lineup will kind of follow suit. And I don't think that's really been the question mark every single year. It's very rare for them to actually be going at the same time. So that would be my best case scenario. My worst case scenario, the pitching staff, we get a big wake-up call that they're not as good and they're a little old and we don't have a ton of options in the farm. Like what you see on the major league roster, that's really about it. Like there's, Jake Bloss is a name, but that we got in the Kikuchi trade, but I don't think he's quite ready for that stage. And Bo and Vlad don't click and they leave and we got to tear down the team to the studs and rebuild. And we go another 20 years without making the playoffs. And yeah, I think that's the worst case scenario.
Do you, Spencer, while you're on that, do you think they'd be quick to tear it down? If like, say things aren't good, but you're, I don't know, 5 to 7 games under 500 around the deadline, which probably still has you in the third wildcard conversation.
Yeah, at least in something resembling shouting distance of that third wildcard spot.
Yeah, like as long as you're still around 500, do you still think they'd have the vision to actually still tear it down, or do you think they'd be like, hey, this is our last ride, and then we'll figure it out in the winter?
I think that would be the case. I think last year, around the trade deadline, it was like very clear. And there was a lot of tradable assets, like Kikuchi was going to fetch you a lot. There was a lot of pieces like that. I think there's not as much of that this year. And then also they've just made these signings for Santander. It's like hard to like make those moves and then be like, hey, like we're actually going to tank it the rest of the season. It's just a really bad look. I would say that if and we've seen them do this in the past where if they're kind of in shouting distance of the playoffs, they'll really just make 1 or 2 minor moves and they'll kind of keep riding out and see where it goes from there. And then they'll address it in the wintertime. Yeah, I know. It's probably the worst place to be in.
It is. It's genuinely terrible. I'd rather just be straight up awful.
Sports purgatory. Yeah, it's bad.
We always say
it's awful.
So what if they're not? Say we get to the deadline and they're like, they're like 15, 20 games out of first, maybe 10 out of the wild card. Like, do you think they'll try and recoup assets and like rip the Band-Aid off, or no? Because that's the optics of it.
I mean, if they're that far out of it, I think that the front office, despite what everyone says, like I think that on paper, a lot of the moves at the time that they've been made have been good moves that really just haven't worked out.
I agree. I liked everything you did, like up until 23, maybe. Like I thought I mean, like the only contract I think you've given out that I would say was ill-advised would probably be the Springer one, just because like that's not a guy that would age well. I feel like everybody could kind of, you're paying for the beginning, and he's been worse than I think anyone really anticipated too.
I think so. I think but when the Springer one happened, it was like we had signed Ryu in the previous season, and that was like, okay, like they're clearly trying to line up, like they're trying to make it work. And like the Springer one was like the big free agents that offseason were him and DJ LeMahieu. And like we made that was obviously a great choice by the front office, but it was a sign that like, hey, the Blue Jays are like, they're going for it. They're trying. And that was the biggest contract we've ever, dealt to a player. And if you just look at the moves over time, like I ask Blue Jays fans this all the time, like if you hate Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins, like what's your least favorite move? And mine is signing Kevin Kiermaier to a 1-year deal for $15 million. Like that's a bad move, but it's like it's not like
it's not backbreaking.
It's not,
especially if it's for 1 year, contract. Right?
Yeah,
didn't he just join the front office now too? It's like, hey, there you go.
He did. Yeah, it was a funny contract because afterwards, like we paid him way more than he was worth, and then in his press conference, he was like, "Yeah, the offers just didn't really come this offseason. It's strange." And so it was like, "Oh, great, we just outbid ourselves by $15 million."
The Blue Jays just are like constantly begging people to take their money.
I know,
please.
Like, was that old show Win Ben Stein's Money? Win Rogers'
That's
money?
A crazy reference, Fitz.
Yeah, 90s, right?
That was a great show. We're a great city in the summertime, all right? It sucks right now because it's cold. But players like it here. Like every athlete who comes to Toronto, like, you see Vince Carter crying in the documentaries right now, talking about how great it is to live here. And so, yeah, like he was crying at his jersey retirement ceremony. So it's like, it's weird. It is weird that we have to, but we're outbidding against the Dodgers where it's like, you live there all year long. They just won a World Series. Who wants to join the 77-win Blue Jays? Come on, take our money. It's tough. It's tough.
In there.
In your heart of hearts,
yeah.
What do you think is the outlook for the Blue Jays this year? If you had to put a record on it, if you had to put a postseason berth, not a postseason berth, what is it as we stand here now?
I would say not a postseason berth, but I'll go as crazy as saying they might win 82.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The AL is bad. Like that could sneaky be enough.
If the pitching holds up, man.
Yeah.
Who's to say? That's why we play the games.
Who knows? The wild card race last year was very weird. Maybe it's weird again this year.
75 wins gets you in.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Like, I think that the last time I checked, FanDuel.ca is saying 77.5 wins. So I think 82 is reasonable.
I'd take that over, I think, personally.
You take that over? Use code POT on Lansdowne.
Use code POT on Lansdowne. Listen, man, we're
begging for that sponsorship. Please, we need it.
We'll sell out.
Yeah, we want to sell out bad. I think that, I'll be optimistic. I think contract year Vlad, like, I don't know. I think if they could keep hitting 3-run homers, like, I think that's the way it's going to have to be for them. Like, just Tony, Vlad, and Bo just hitting home runs. That's going to, and then if you're pitching a good staff, if it's solid, like, that's enough, I think. You got the old Earl Weaver method of winning ball games. You just got to hit 3-run bombs. That's it.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. It has not been there in years past, and it was like, you would see like Ben Verlander's top 10 lineups, number 3, the Blue Jays, and they would be like the worst fucking hitting team you've ever seen in your life. They would be watching Dalton Varsho hit with runners in scoring position. So
shit. That's a shout out to our boy Devers Enjoyer.
Yeah. Love Varsho. Back-to-back Team Gold Glove, all on his back. You don't win that. They don't just give that award out.
That's true. You got to earn it.
Yeah,
gotta earn it.
Yeah,
Wait, time out. What the fuck is that? Is that a real thing?
Team Gold Glove.
They give a Team Gold Glove now.
Do they
the Blue
publicize
Jays.
that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's when they do them all, I think, right?
Yeah.
So like the
And
Blue
we
Jays
won-
had the best defense in baseball? Is that like what that means?
Back-to-back years, some would say.
What?
Yeah.
I've
we won it.
I've
Dynasty.
never heard of this award, guys.
Yeah, we proudly display our Team Gold Gloves. Like
Hang the
that
banner,
is
baby.
not. Yeah, they don't
that's
give
awesome.
it away.
Oh, good for you,
I
man.
don't
Who
know if the
fucking
Red Sox-
cares about the playoffs then? You know?
I don't know if the Red Sox are going to win that award this year, but I think
Never.
the Blue Jays are going to be in the running again. No, I don't think so.
I actually, if Devers does go to
Steady's
DH,
playing center field full time.
yeah,
if
if
Durant's
it's Story
a good
and
defender,
Bregman on
Story,
the left side, is sneaky good defense if it is, but
it makes
Yeah.
you think, right? It makes you think.
We-
Spencer,
Yeah.
the
You
last
got to be
question
the
I had
best to
for
win Gold Glove. Sorry.
yeah, right. No worries. Last question I had for you. When Vlad signs with the Red Sox, will you come down to Fenway to see his debut?
Absolutely. I look forward
Hey,
to it.
keep in
It
mind
would
you
be
won't
great.
need a passport.
Yeah, exactly. I can just drive right across the new bridge and come on down to Fenway Park and see Vlad play in the Red Sox uniform. It'd be beautiful.
Post up with Liam. He lives right across the street from Fenway.
Yeah.
literally.
where do you actually?
you,
If
you got a couch. I got an air
Fitz just
mattress.
doxing Liam right on our show.
We've not.
Oh, like that's
We've
not
never
much of a
said that on the
secret.
show ever, Jake. You're right. Yeah.
Spence, if Vlad, let's just say for the sake of discussion here, Vlad leaves. He's leaving.
Mhm.
Where
Yeah.
do you think he goes?
Facial hair policy kind of switched things up pretty recently.
I think he's a Met. I think he's Met. I do.
Yeah, that seems likely.
It's such a good fit.
I really do think the Red Sox really just they do make a lot of sense. It's hard to I don't know, free agency is weird as someone who's just been locked into it every tweet the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns, hey, I just want to live in Arizona. Fair enough. I really think Vlad makes Vlad just makes sense on the Red Sox. His buddy Devers is there, he hits very well in Fenway. They're a team that's
So we know
they're a team that's proven that they can win championships, and I think that's kind of a good spot for him.
Okay. This is gonna sound controversial for everybody in this room. I almost don't care, and I don't. This is not Vlad specific. I think I mean it with every right-handed hitter. I don't really care if they hit well at Fenway. I feel like any right-handed hitter with a fucking pulse and some pop can hit well at Fenway Park. It's all you never hear. He's not great at Fenway Park. No one's ever said that about a right-handed hitter. I swear to God.
True.
It's I don't know if they can make that work. Yeah, there's a fucking wall 310 feet away. I'd hope so.
Yeah,
It's very high,
true,
so
it's
if you
true.
get it on here, right?
Bregman, Alex Bregman, who is not, he's a fine hitter. But what is it? He's second to Ted Williams in OPS at Fenway
It's like
Park
1,200 or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's I don't know. But yes, Vlad does hit very well there. Oh,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, he has high exit velocities even when he's not hitting well. When he's hitting worm burners, he's still probably good at Fenway. So
Wow, I've never heard that one.
My dad heard him in the home run derby a couple
it.
years ago. My dad said Vlad's bat makes animal noises. Often. That's
fair.
I've seen him take a Canadian friend of ours, Nick Pivetta, deep plenty of times at Fenway at this point. So I don't know if that would hurt his production at Fenway if Nick Pivetta's not throwing to him. But
well, we play the Padres every year now, so that one game would be special. If watch we miss Pivetta through the rotation that time, it's not his turn to pitch. But in any event, Spencer, if people want to hear more from you, if people want to follow along with the Blue Jays this year, where can they find you?
They can find me on twitter.ca at Spen with a bunch of underscores.
Six to be exact.
Six underscores to be exact. I gotta change that soon.
The profile picture is a Pokemon. I always forget which one.
It's Gengar, you stupid fuck.
Gengar.
Okay,
Yeah.
I knew Jake was gonna shove it down my
God.
fucking throat with that. Yeah, like Jake's our resident Pokemon guy. But Spencer, as always, dude, we appreciate you coming on. We'll love to have you back on soon.
Absolute pleasure.
Until then, I hope the season goes absolutely horrible for you guys.
Yeah, Spence, when do the Sox and Jays meet up this year?
I know that they play in Boston at the end of June because I was looking at the potential road trip. So yeah,
maybe we'll have you back. We'll chat. We'll do a mid-season. Oh, wow, the third season of the third series of the year is Blue Jays Red Sox.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you back if you're lucky. We'll think about it. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
Spencer, appreciate it, dude. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Spencer.
Spence.